Welcome to the Sarah Scoop Show. It's time to get the scoop with Sarah.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kavan Smith. I am an actor based out of Vancouver. I've lived in Los Angeles as well, and I have been doing this for quite some time. And now I have been working with the Hallmark Network for a little while on a show called When Calls the Heart. Lee and Rosemary have had this ongoing, I should say Kavan and Pascale have had an ongoing relationship with the writers in the network to try and figure out this storyline as far as their becoming parents is concerned. And I think that what Rachel has kind of done is given them a little taste of the waters and understand they leapfrogged all those tender, wonderful years of little babies, and they've kind of gone right to the aggressive teenage years. And it's a very different kind of parenting and a very different kind of behavior, but they've gone right to exasperation without having all of those little tools that you build up with little kids when they're adorable and wonderful, and you hold them and smell them and you develop all this deep felt love for them, so that when they become teenagers, you don't throw them away. Because it's a very complicated thing when you have teenagers. So I think that she is this lightning rod for bringing them together in a different way than we had anticipated. So that does not mean by any stretch that the door is closed or that we have not got further plans for pursuing parenthood. It just sort of a little brief glimpse into what it would look like to parent a teenager. It's interesting because it parallels what I'm doing in my life as Kavan Smith. I am the father of a very precocious 13, soon to be 14-year-old boy. And the behavior is very easy to relate to because as a parent, a lot of that exasperation that comes with Rachel's character is prevalent in my own personal life as well. I get frustrated dealing with my kid. It's the same kind of roll your eyes, count to 10, take a deep breath, and hopefully this will pass. So there's kind of a lot of that. So Lee gets to do a lot of that. Whereas Rosemary's character is usually a little bit more of the firecracker and responds immediately. Lee is a little more pensive, takes his time a little bit. He's a very patient guy. That's one of the things I love most about Lee is his patience. But even then, just to be thrown into the deep end with a not just teenager, but a young adult was challenging, but a lot of fun to play because I'm doing it in my own life as well. Well, I had a lot of fun with the episode where Jesse takes my motorcycle and because I've been after the motorcycle to get that back on that show for Lee for so long. I don't know why they won't give it to me. They're excited to give it to anybody else, but they don't want Lee to have it. So when I first read the script, I was like, oh yeah, we get the motorcycle back. And no, not to me, not to be. And in my own personal life as well, I have driven motorcycles my whole life, and I literally just got rid of my last motorcycle. And so I know what it's like to lose it. And that was a fun episode, but there are a couple more coming up that were a lot of fun to shoot too. And Viv Leacock and I have known each other for quite a while, so getting to work with Viv is always a blast. It's kind of fun to work with somebody that you've known, even though Viv and I haven't worked a ton together. I've known him for, I don't know, 15 years maybe. So it's an interesting experience working with somebody that you know. Like it's kind of like family in some ways. So that development, the development of that relationship was really fun too. Yeah, he's terrific. He has a real charm about him on camera, which is completely the opposite in real life. He has zero charm in real life. I was just joking. He's a very, very charming young man, but on screen he reads incredibly charming, and I think he's a very, very welcome addition. There was that kind of giant pothole that was missing from the cast for quite a few years with having, somebody in that church, and I think that he is the perfect fit. But the episodes that are coming up at the end, the last couple, there's some little twists in there that I think are a lot of fun. They were fun to shoot. One thing I'm tired of though is Lee getting hurt. I'm I'm old enough as it is. I'm tired of Lee getting injured. Let's just leave that to the side and let him move on. It was a very strange year, and I know that generally speaking, the people that have kind of gravitated to this show don't want to hear about what things are. I get it. It's a great escapist place to be, where people are wonderful to one another, and it's inspiring. But the truth of the matter was is that it was a challenging year to shoot. There was a lot of. We were the first show to start shooting after we were given the okay by the government, and there were a lot of hoops that we had to jump through, and we were trying it. We were one of the very first crews to try any of these things. We were very lucky that we got through without anybody testing positive. And but it took a while to figure it out because we were being sequestered. Luckily, I mean, Pascale and I do most of our stuff together, and we're very good friends, so we were always kind of put together. So that was a good fit for us. But if I had to say one thing that was really different about this year, or fun, was Jack. Because Jack Wagner had to do a 2-week quarantine when he came up to Vancouver to shoot this season, and he had no idea what that meant. He thought he was going to be able to go to the hotel and go down to the bar and have dinner and go to the gym and work out. And when he got there, he's like, "Oh my God, you mean I have to stay in my room the whole time?" And well, yeah. So when he got out after his 2 weeks, he was the most gregarious, fun-loving, hysterical version of himself that we've ever seen. He was like a giddy little schoolboy, just so happy to be around people and talk. You couldn't get him to shut up. He would just laugh uncontrollably for no reason, and it really it kind of permeated the rest of the cast. I mean, we're a pretty tight group at the best of times, the worst of times anyway, but this was fun because you couldn't wipe the smile off his face. He was just so happy to be around people again. And it sort of set the tone for the whole season, even though it was really tough. Again, this is a very unique group of people that when you put them together, it just works. No matter how stressful things get, everybody just our personalities just sort of blend together quite seamlessly. That just doesn't happen. I've been doing this for a long time, and I can tell you that does not happen very often. Yeah, no, he is a very charming guy. When he decides to turn his charm on, he is wonderful. He's very funny. He's got the most amazing stories because he's been doing this for so long. He got his start in the silent movie era, so he really has been around for a long time. Yeah, no, okay, he's not that old, but you get my point. He's got some stories. Well, we've been on a crusade now for several years to expand our family. That is first and foremost, and those seeds are planted firmly this season, but we want to pursue that even further. We want to go, because that's, I think, where these two are. They would like to have some changes happen for Lee and Rosemary, none of them bad, but they want to introduce a few things this coming season, provided it's all a go and everything happens. And I'm excited for the things that they've pitched. I can't talk about them. They are fun and they're totally different, but they're totally in keeping with who Rosemary and Lee are. And they find one of the things that gets established in this season is that both of them seem to, at the same time, flounder with where they're at in their own lives. They feel like they should be doing something different or something more. And I think that started by wanting to have a family. So they both want to expand what they do with their time and with basically their professions. So I think that we're going to pursue that a lot further in this coming year if that happens. But the big one has been and will continue to be, these two need to have a family, full stop. That's a loaded question because we started off kind of with a bit of a bang. Like we knew each other before this show, but we didn't know each other well. And then starting in I think maybe the second episode or third episode we did together, we completely bonded because we both have the same childish sense of humor, and we just like to make each other laugh. And we both, neither of us, I should say, take ourselves too seriously, which as an actor is a breath of fresh air because so many of them do take themselves so seriously. So when you get two together that love to make fun of one another and both have thick skin. I mean, she can't hurt my feelings and I can't hurt hers. So we can kind of just go after each other. And in the beginning, it was just sort of a contest to see who could make each other laugh more. And then we kind of backfilled the friendship as that happened. So on screen, we were just really that fun and sort of electricity that comes with really trying to make each other laugh was getting backfilled as we were going with real trust and genuine friendship. And we did a couple of movies as well. And we just actually finished doing another one, which is why I'm in quarantine right now. And we've gotten to the point now where we are like, she's one of my absolute best friends. She probably wouldn't admit to it, but I'm one of her best friends too. and it's a very interesting thing to go through this experience with somebody. I mean, actors' career is generally pretty lonely and individual. You go from one project to the next, and you make friends, and then you move on to the next group of them. But we're almost a decade now, and for her 40th birthday, she and Aaron Krakow and myself went to New York to celebrate her birthday with our partners. And at the dinner, we were supposed to say, I think this was Ben's idea or Aaron's idea, and they were saying, okay, when you go around the table, you have to say what you appreciate most about Pascale. And I said this, I said that it's very rare that you get to have a business partner as an actor. That's just a very rare commodity. And I essentially, at least within the Hallmark world, have a business partner. And we try and do as many things as we can together because we really, really enjoy it. And it's fun to have somebody in the process other than your team, people you're paying to do it, but have somebody in your corner who's invested in the success the same way you are. It just doesn't happen. It's very old school. Like, I mean, if you go back 40, 50 years, 60 years in the old studio system, you would have, Ginger Rogers and Fred Astaire. And not that I'm comparing us to them, but they would pair people like that together many, many times over many years. And you would have good chemistry to start, but by the end, you've got something special. So I think we're sort of in that area. We have something special, and it's a good friendship and a business partnership to boot. Well, we had a lot of fun doing that. It was really unexpected. That came about on a whim. Literally, Aaron called us one day and said, "Hey, would you guys be willing to do some kind of a baking show?" And I love to cook, so I was like, "Yeah, I'm all over that. That would be super fun." And then it turned into this cookie bake-off thing, which was not necessarily what I thought it was going to be, but it ended up being an awful lot of fun. And believe it or not, before COVID set in, there were plans to try and do another one. Some of the people at the network were in and some people were not, but it was on the table. And I think when we finished last year, all of us said, never again, never again. It's really hard work. It sounds silly, but it's really hard work because you are really working your butt off all day. And for that cooking show example, it's a reality TV. First of all, they're used to dealing with normal people, civilians that come in and do a show, and most civilians will do more or less what they're told. Actors never do what they're told. We do what we want to do. So it put us at a bit of a juxtaposition with what they wanted. But in the end, I think some of the personalities really shine through. When we got to the end, it was exhausting because they didn't have, when they're shooting it, they don't have proper facilities. It's shot in a studio, so we don't have sinks. We don't have a place to wash our hands. So it was very challenging to try and keep going when you're rushing for 3, 4, 5 hours without taking a break or a breath to try and get something done, because you're working so hard for your partner because you want the partner to win. And at the same time, you're trying to have fun. It was hard work, but boy, oh boy, we all forgot pretty quick, because when they talked about it, we're all like, yeah, I'll go back. Yeah, I'll go back. So, well, I'm pretty biased. So, I mean, I don't want this to sound nepotistic or anything, but what I like, I mean, I like Lee and Rosemary too. And the reason why I like them isn't just because that I'm one of them and my friend is the other, because I think they provide something that the town needs. They are irreverent in some ways. The Our show is really designed as a kind of a utopic little place that you can go and you can see friends helping friends, people building you up instead of tearing you down. It's this dreamlike little place that people want to believe can exist and can within each of us. We can do these things. But what we provide is something that's that, but also some humor, some really just sort of moment to moment silliness, which I think the show needs. And I think that that silliness really just came out of her and I wanting to make each other laugh, because Rosemary is a very big, broad character, but because it's grounded in the love they have for one another and the commitment that they have to each other and the rest of the town, we allow them to be sillier. And I think the show is stronger for it. I think that we bring something that no other couple does to the show, because the connection is already established. They love each other so much. They can be weird. They can be a little quirky and funny, and yet we still trust that they'll always be there for one another. So it's a biased answer, but the truth is definitely Lee and Rosemary. Yeah, I have been asked this before, and I am tired, just like everybody else. I'm tired of the love triangle. But I've said previously that I think the reason why this has gone on for so long is because it's a unique situation where we had a beloved character that wanted to move on and try different things, and we all wished him well. So Elizabeth's character really wanted to honor that connection with the fans, because the fans were in love with the Jack character, and you couldn't have the lead of a show not have a love interest. That's not television. So we had to move on, but you couldn't move on too quickly because it would look badly. Then when it happened, the idea of the love triangle was an interesting thing, and I think everybody was on board because we had two terrific actors and two terrific human beings, and for those guys. But it just kind of snowballed into something that it didn't really need to be. But I think that it just got caught in that area where you're trying to balance the respect of the past. And then because we entered this love triangle, you want to respect each of these characters equally because they've been so wonderful in their participation of it. The choosing becomes kind of crazy. And I think that, in all honesty, I think the reason why it took so long is because nobody could make up their minds. It's not an easy question. When I was first asked, I thought that the DNA of the show was between Elizabeth and Amounty. I just thought that was the DNA. That's where it came from. This is what that show is. But over the course of the years, I've realized that that's not necessarily what the show is anymore. We may have moved on. That doesn't mean I don't think that I'm necessarily Team Nathan or Team Lucas, but I think it's a lot more level playing field than I did when it first started. And I'm not going to say which I like more, because I've developed a friendship with both these guys that is really like I really like both these guys as human beings. So there is a choice made at the end of the year, and I'm happy with the choice and sad at the choice at the same time. And I think that there's going to be a lot of fans who love it and a lot of fans who don't. It's just that's the byproduct of having a love triangle. You're not going to make everybody happy. But I think I can't even say I don't think I made the right choice or the wrong choice. There was no right or there was no wrong. I mean, these guys, either one is going to be a huge home run because they're both such charming, handsome, smart, fun, gregarious, charismatic young men. And I think that either one of them is going to be perfect with Elizabeth because that's the one thing that that character needs, because she's so charming and she's so charismatic. You have to have somebody that can equal that. And I think both these guys have that. And I think in the end, the fans are going to, we've moved on from where we were. And I think people will accept it and they will move on with us because we tell good stories and we're a place that people want to come and visit. Yeah, no, people get very intense about that. I don't get into any of that stuff. The choices I have nothing to do with the choices of who is staying or who is going. This is a network level thing. And they have their reasons for making certain choices. I do not get involved. I've never been asked for my opinion. But I realize the fans are super passionate about this, but a lot of the same fans were super passionate when Jack left. Now we're super passionate about something else. And I'm hoping that the fans will follow us and be super passionate about where we go next. Yeah, absolutely. I didn't want to go in for the longest time. I turned it down quite a few times. And then finally, I got a call from my agent saying Neil Fernley is directing, and Neil is one of our stable of full-time kind of directors on the show. He's done a bunch of the episodes, and he's a really nice guy. And he and I go back a long ways. We've done movies and stuff together for the last 20, 30, 25 years, something like that. So when I heard it was him, I was just like, and they said, Neil just wants you to come in and just say hi. So I was like, all right, I'll go in, I'll say hi. And it was just fun. I think sometimes those auditions are the best. I'm not a great auditioner because my strength is not memorizing the lines overnight and then performance ready. I like to go into a room and be 100% ready, like 1,000% ready. And then I can relax and I can just do what I want to do. But when I don't know the lines, I don't relax and I get tight. And, but in this case, I knew Neil, I knew the casting director, and I was like, all right, I'll just go in and I'll have fun. And that's what it was. And then when I think when I finished, did a couple of scenes, and then Neil was just like, okay, so what we're looking for is that they want to keep Pascale on the show, and they're looking to see if you will have any chemistry with her. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. I'm a little bit older than she is, but yeah, I know her, but let's see what happens. And then I met her when I did my first costume fitting. And we'd said hi back and forth over the years. Every time I'd see her, her husband used to work at a martial arts gym, and I was interested in that when I was younger. So we talked a bit about that, and we'd see her out every once in a while. I was out with my wife sometimes, and we'd run into her. And so it just kind of, I was like, all right, this might work. This might work. But then when we got to set, and I found out that she had this great sense of humor, and she has kind of like, I come from small town, sort of middle of nowhere kind of sensibilities, and so does she, and her husband does as well, and my wife does, and we're all friends. We have our couples, we all get along, and we all go out for dinner from time to time. So as soon as we established that was really the linchpin to the whole thing. We needed a way to bridge the gap and figure out more about one another, and it was humor. It was all humor, just making her laugh, her making me laugh, and that was really the linchpin for everything. And then just kind of, we got lucky. We're just incredibly lucky to be on the show. I didn't even want to go to the audition, and here I am, for me 8 years later, and it's been probably the most rewarding job of my career, and it's all because of the fact that she and I were able to make each other laugh. This is from Duke's bar and beach bar in Waikiki. So yes, the cat is out of the bag. We did just shoot a movie in Hawaii, and it was a passion project for us. I've told this story before, but we were shooting the second movie, I believe the second movie of A Perfect Bride, and one of the execs from Hallmark was there, and she had mentioned that a friend of ours was directing a movie in Fiji, and we were both a little pissed because we're like, why didn't he hire us? Why aren't we in Fiji shooting this movie? So right away, I was just like, well, I want to do a movie. I want to do a destination movie too. I mean, we got to be able to go somewhere. There's got to be something. So the exec did not shoot it down. Her name was Sam. She did not shoot the idea down. And when you don't shoot an idea of mine down, I will pursue the idea until you shut it down. So a couple weeks later, I asked Pascale what she wanted to be, because we asked the network and they're like, you know what, if you guys come up with an idea, we're happy to hear the idea. No guarantee they'll accept the idea, but they would listen. So I asked her, I said, well, what do you want to be? And she said, you know what, I want to be a travel blogger, a really uptight travel blogger. I'm like, great, I'll be the exact opposite. Let's go pitch a movie. And so that's what we did. And we went in, and that's another reason why having a partner is great, because I've never pitched things before. But when you walk into a room with a bunch of these executives and you have your friend and your partner there with you to bounce ideas with, and when you're running out of conversation, she can, grab the ball and keep rolling. They agreed to the idea, and then we got railroaded by the current state of the world, and we were trying to pull it off about 2 years ago, but we got too close to the start of When Calls season 7, and so we had to delay. So we delayed, and then we were going to shoot last year in, I think, January or February, and we were ready to go. They had decided it was going to be Hawaii. We had kind of pitched a bunch of different ideas, starting with Fiji, and then kind of just moved around. And then they really wanted to go to Hawaii because they'd never shot there before. And I mean, who wouldn't want to go to Hawaii? So they made that choice, but then world got shut down in March, and we lost our opportunity there. So it's taken a long time. And I think that because it took so long, the show benefited. And it's a real true rom-com with heavy on the com. And we were lucky because Hallmark has sort of made a commitment to trying to do more with comedy. And that just happened recently. That was one of their mandates. And we benefited from that. So our script went from being, a normal rom-com to actually they upped some of the comedy, which we loved. That's like perfect for us. And so I think we benefited from the wait. I think we benefited from having everything planned out, and the Hawaii was up and running again. The film community was up and running again. And we managed to sort of fall in right after, I think it was Magnum PI or Hawaii 5-0 or one of those shows that they shoot there had stopped shooting. So we got their crew. So we got a completely professional, high-end crew, high-end DP, everybody was so great on the show. It was the only drawback was that because of COVID, we were initially supposed to go to 3 islands. We were supposed to go to Kona, Maui, and Oahu. And because we couldn't travel as freely anymore, we had to stick to one. So we stuck on Oahu, which was incredibly beautiful. And in some ways, not moving around was a little more calm. Like we got to Pascale and I hung out a lot at the hotel, and we would have dinners together and stuff like that. And instead of having to run to airports or to ferries or something like that. So this one is a real passion project. The other 2 movies we did together, the first one was just kind of offered to us. So it wasn't really our story. And then the second one was a follow-up to it. Even though it was our idea, it wasn't really our baby. It was, somebody else's brainchild. This one really is us. We took it to them, the whole idea, and then we all worked at it with the writers, and we were kept in the loop all the way through and with each evolution of the story. And I can't tell you how great an experience it was and how fun it was and the things we got to do and the way I think it's going to play on screen. It was really so much fun. I've never had more fun in my whole life shooting anything ever. Yeah, we just finished, and the director of it, John Putch, wonderful guy. He actually just emailed. He turned in his edit today, so they just got the first cut, and then of course the network has a firm grip over what they put out, so they'll go over it, and hopefully they keep a lot of the integrity of the show, and that they'll keep pushing with the humor the way that we wanted to do it. So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Fingers crossed. I hope for the best. I've been a couple of times with my family. My wife and my kids and I have been twice. There's a direct flight from Vancouver to Maui, so I've been to Maui a couple of times. My dad took me to Oahu once when I was just a little kid. I think I was 10, so I remember some of it, but it's very different than when I was a kid. So it was interesting. My dad used to run marathons, and in every year, not every year, but a few years, he did the Honolulu Marathon. So we went at Christmas time, which was super fun. But I don't remember much of layout or the topography or much of anything, to be honest with you. But it was so beautiful. Being in the tropics is everything that you think it's going to be. It is amazing to step out, even in March, to step outside at 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night, and you're warm. Not hot, but warm. Just shorts, t-shirt, and it's always warm. You walk right into the water. There's no hesitation. We live here in Vancouver. You walk into the water here, you better have a wetsuit on. It's really cold. So it's exciting being there. And we couldn't believe our fortune with the crew we got, the destinations we were able to shoot in. We shot in some places where they shot things like Jurassic Park and these wonderful natural habitats that were just beyond beautiful. The ocean, obviously, mountains, valleys, the jungle, waterfalls. It was just kind of mind blowing, You pitch this, and all the ideas are in the script. A lot of these ideas were not ours, they were the writer's ideas and the network's ideas. But when you read them, it's one thing. But then on the day, you're like, oh, we're in this park all day long. And I have video. When we get closer to the release, we'll put out. I'm not great at Instagram or anything, but I'm going to put more of that stuff out. We took a lot of videos and a lot of pictures, and it's stunning. I'll give you that. It's stunning.
Thank you for watching The Sarah Scoop Show. Head to sarahscoop.com for more.